Hiya, good morning. My name's Samuel. I'm here to have a wonderful conversation with you guys today. Hope that's okay. You're gonna join me? Yeah. The thing I want to talk about today is about fathers and the role they play in their children's life, especially at an early stage. I've come to this topic because I work with a youth offending service. For those of you that don't know, that's a service that works with young people who've come in contact with the criminal justice through an offence or some behaviour they've done, and my job really is to help them rehabilitate, to help them stay away from offending in the future. So my interest in young people is very much about what they've done and how it sets them up for the future. In that role, also, I come in contact with parents a lot of the time who are frustrated, concerned that the child they brought into this world is behaving in ways that are foreign to them a lot of the time. Now, the question is, why has that child got into that position? We are often unaware of some blind spots in our life, and I would say as a parent there are blind spots in the parenting role, blind spots in that we are the place where children are modeling relationship on a day-to-day basis. So this is what this talk is about, really, is to look at our parenting role, but in this case from a father's point of view, how that has an impact on how a child will have future relationships, future decision making, because a lot of decisions come off the people you've been in contact with. A common problem that I find with the young people that I am seeing in my role would be a disconnection from relationship, disconnection from family, disconnection from school, disconnection from trusted relationships, and then a reconnection to a whole different area, which ultimately portrays them as maybe being older than they are, taking risks, being in control. And I ask you this question now. Those behaviors that they are projecting, I would say, stems from missing out on key relationships before then. They've had to learn how to be that way to survive. We often talk of young people maybe missing out on their childhood or facing adverse childhood experiences. That's the purpose for my talk today, is just to bring us back, take a step back and realise that actually we could do more for them. Whether we're in relationship with a partner or not, it's important that young people have two parents contributing to their experience, is what I would say. Right, so I'm a father. I am a father myself. I don't have all the answers for parenting, so we can shelve that thought. What we can do is talk honestly with each other. So my honest reflection on my own experience. So I was married, we're not married now, and so we co-parent our child, our son, and I became very aware of what I bring to that relationship, and it was something I had to learn, to be honest, because my own upbringing, both my parents are together, but again I could see there was a role that my father could have played a bit more than he did at the time. So some of where I'm coming from is experience in my personal life, some of it is from my experience, what I see in work. So I feel quite enthusiastic and focused on this topic of dads playing a role. That's not to minimize mums, because mums obviously have a massive role, but this is just about dads being more aware, because I've had to make myself more aware of some topics like these. I would say, what were some of the things that made it difficult, and then I'll talk to what we can do as fathers. Some of the things that made it difficult was the fact that as a father, you're dealing with pain. You're dealing with pain in terms of possibly a relationship not going the way that you wanted it to go. You're dealing with the fracture of a relationship if you're not in your child's life. You're dealing with how the future may look when actually the future so far is presenting you with uncertainties. And I think it's quite challenging when you find yourself in that position. But the beautiful thing about it is that when you do find your solution for it, it actually models to your child a way that they're going to deal with problems in the future for themselves whenever they appear. I think we can't get away from the fact that there are gender expectations for fathers and mothers. I would say a lot of the time the father expectation is for money, that you are to be providing money. Your presence isn't so much expected or as valued. So even when you're in the home situation where the two of you are working together, invariably the dad's input will focus on how much money that you can bring to that family unit. Now, I want to highlight this point here, which is a father has a relationship with a child whether you've got money in your pocket or you don't have money in your pocket. From the moment that your DNA goes into creating this beautiful child, your role has value. In the same way that a mother has value as a mother the minute that she gives birth, you as a father have value in that relationship that brought that child into being. I would say to you, don't ever relinquish that thought that you are no value. And that was something I've had to overcome in my own headspace. Society would want to tell you that you are just good for the money, but actually you have value beyond just the money. And I'm talking from the perspective of relationship. That child is going to grow up and have to have relationship. That child is going to have to grow up and build connection. That child is going to have to grow up and have some form of an identity. If you're not there, money's not going to do that for them. You could send as much money as you like. Money's not going to give them an identity. Money's not going to show them how to connect with others. Money's not going to problem solve for them. So what I'm talking about is presence. So when I talk to you and say you have to be present from an early stage, because I think they say within the first 7 years of a child's life, a lot of what they learn about the adult world is going to be captured in those first 7 years. I'm also hearing if your relationship breaks up in that period of time, you're dealing with pain, you're dealing with how do I overcome that and still maintain contact with my child? I'm thinking to myself, if you don't, your child is not only having to learn about an adult world at an early stage, they're going to learn about an adult world that doesn't know how to deal with pain, that doesn't know how to overcome obstacles. And as I said to you, I see that reflected, fractured relationships reflected in these teenagers in the youth offending service. They make friends with people outside of the home just because they have to have that need to be connected to something and lose the sense of what is valuable. So yeah, you need to be involved is what I would say. And the next point I'm going to talk about is really around, well, how do you maintain contact just whether you're in the home or you're not in the home? I think again society presents a position where mum's the role for contact. Yes, when the child comes and they have that close bond with the mum. The dad's role, I feel, is there to be modeling support for the mum in the first instance, but also for the dad to be there in the places where society wouldn't expect them to be. That's what I've deliberately gone out of my way to do. Show up at school. challenge the school structure. You know, you communicate with both of us parents because we're both contributing. Any service where your child's name is going to be mentioned, they need to mention it with a clear understanding that this child has a father that's involved in their life. So that's one of the things you're going to have to keep strong. That's got nothing to do with your relationship with the other partner. It's got to do with your relationship with your child. Your child needs to see you showing up for them, showing up at school, showing up at the doctors, showing up at their sports events, showing up when they're having their parties, showing up when they are just chilling at home. Come and sit down and have a moment with dad, play on the Xbox. These things you're modeling is affirming security, affirming identity. You belong to me, you are part of me, you're connected to me. Me and you, we're building something. That doesn't happen if you're absent. That doesn't happen if you're absent. I'm aware that, as I said, society would quite happily have the father absent, but have the father's money. A term that I'm coming to see now is one of these things called a ghost dad, ghost parent, where you have the image of a dad, or you have a vision of a dad in your mind, but actually you can't touch that person, you can't access them, you can't resource from them. They're not giving you what you need. And I'm trying to be a dad who's very present. You can touch me, you can feel me, you can know that I'll show up for you, I'll be there. So those are one of the things I would say is important. As a father, you may need to find support for yourself because it's not easy. This is where I'm coming on to the point about help. It's not easy being a parent. It's not easy being a parent who could feel ostracized and separated from your child. And you may have to acknowledge that's causing you additional pain. But there are many groups out there, and there's many opportunities for you to tell your story and to retell your story in a way that affirms you. It may take a while, it may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 3 years. But the investment you do in yourself, you should look at it as an investment in your child. An investment in your child to know that I have an identity that's not just going to go away, therefore I don't need to then go and find identity in foreign places that don't have the same care or love for me. Obviously, this is a bit black and white. Of course, you can, in terms of polarized view, if you don't have it at home, you can't get it anywhere else. I'm not saying that. You can have tons of very great, trusted relationships that model parenting to you. I'm just basically saying that that's your right, that's your entitlement as a parent who brought a child into the world. Don't let anybody or anything push you off that. Not even the ex-partner. You're valid. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. Stay in the relationship, because one thing breaks down, you don't start the ripple effect of breaking down every future relationship. Because as you can see, if you break with the partner, then you break with the child, that child then can break and learn breaking as their pattern. And I'm trying to come back from that. So the comeback from that is get help for yourself. Go to places where you can be affirmed. There's male groups, there's, I say, church groups, there's community groups. Do something that makes you feel good about yourself. You may quite possibly explore another relationship. I would say that's even a good thing, because it's an opportunity to model to your child that the breakup of their main carer relationship doesn't have to affect them forever. There is a comeback. There's a possibility of a comeback. I would say in the youth offending service, for example, we run parents groups, and I'm a big advocate for dads coming to those groups. I've called it parent group, but invariably what happens is it turns out to be mum's group. It shouldn't be, it's a parent group. You're both parenting. So come to those groups and bring your voice, because you'll then be aware of some of the issues that your child is experiencing. Because as a provider, and the expectation of money, you may become deluded in thinking, well, I'm working, I'm making money, I'm providing for them. But I've said to you that it's your relationship, it's your presence. So that can even become detrimental, that you're working so much that you don't have time to be in the child's life. I'm not talking hours of it, but there needs to be a definite connection. I know, I'll just give a small example. My son wanted to get into the basketball team. He was a bit upset he didn't get picked, and I deliberately asked him about that. And then the other day he said to me he was at a basketball match, and I was curious to understand what his experience was. Remember, I'm not in his house all the time. I was curious to ask him what was the match like. He said, oh, I played. Oh, you played, did you? What happened? Oh, and I scored. Oh, you scored. You should see the smile on his face. That's interesting. So my one-up step next is, when I see you, do you know what? I want to get a basketball, and we're going to go to the park, and we're going to hit some shots. It just so happens that I'm interested in sport, but that's what I'm talking about, presence. They're not going to necessarily come back and pat you on the back, but you've got to look for the opportunity to have a presence in their life. Have a presence in the systems that affect their life. So like I said, peer groups, parties, school. Even do your best to have a great supportive relationship with the child's mother, because that's not about getting back in relationship. That's about doing your bit so that child has some standing. My mum and my dad, they get on. They're not together, but they get on. That's good enough. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about what I've just said?